Whew, alrighty guys, welcome back to yet another video. So today we're going to be doing a full reveal of my new custom wheels on the Jaguar F-Type. Now if you have been following the channel for quite some time, as you guys may know, I had a lot of difficulty with trying to fit these wheels on here. We had a lot of problems with the clearance, especially in the front end, but we got everything sorted out and here we have the final product. I think it came out amazing. It fits perfectly, exactly the way that I hoped it to. We did have to do a couple of manipulations in order to get these fitted properly, and they are sitting pretty flush, pretty straight and even with the rest of the body. So yeah, anyways, I want to talk a little bit about which wheels these are, which specs I got them, and the modifications that we had to do to fit these on here. So these are the ESR CS12s, and I got them as a staggered setup. So the specs of these wheels are 19 inches all around for the diameter. The backs are 10.5 wide with an ET22. The fronts are an 8.5 wide ET35. Now initially I ordered an ET30, but ESR reached out to me saying they did not have the ET30 in stock, so the only option was the ET35, which is fine because I am running a 5mm spacer in order to get the fitment that I wanted. Now the tire setup on here is oversized, so with the 8.5 width in the front, the tire setup I have is a 265/40/19, so very aggressive and oversized fitment, but it doesn't really look too bowed out. It actually looks pretty normal, I gotta say. It's actually pretty flush with the rim. For the rears, with it being 10.5 wide, I am running some more, I guess, conservative sizes for this wheel setup. So we have a 305/35/19. So very similar profile with this. And the reason why I went with 19-inch wheels on this car is to get a little bit more sidewall on the tires. The OEMs were 20 inches with an extremely slim sidewall, making the ride quality just extremely harsh and uncomfortable. So that is the wheel setup. The center bore though is 72.6, whereas the car is a 63.4. So I did have to use hub-centric rings in order to get this to fit. And also I'm not running the center caps, as you can see. I just kind of like the aesthetic of it being raw like that. The inner bearing is very rusty and dirty, so I do want to clean that up and repaint it. So now I want to talk about the issues that I've had with fitting these wheels. So the back side fit on like a glove. It just bolted right on, perfectly good. But the fronts had a major clearance issue when it came to the calipers. So, oh yeah, that little silver nut there. I'll talk about that in just a sec. So this is the F-Type S, meaning it has the larger brakes, the 380mm rotors, and the larger calipers, with it being the high performance model. Now those brakes were way too big and it was actually rubbing on the inner barrel of the front rims. Now the 380s should clear 19-inch rims, but because these are a step lip design, it does kind of lose about an inch of clearance because it comes in like that and it goes straight down. So these fit more like an 18-inch rim, even though the outer profile is 19 inches. So because of that, I had to do a couple of various explorations as to how to make them fit. My first option was to run some spacers, and I tried a whole bunch of different spacers, you know, starting from 5mm, 10mm, 15, and even 20mm, to the point where the wheels were sticking out extremely far, and it still wasn't clearing it. The inner caliper was still scraping the barrel. And on top of that, when I was installing these larger spacers, I had to use the bolt-on spacers, which required me to actually shave or cut down the OEM studs to clear the spacers. So I cut the studs, put these extra large spacers on, and it still didn't work. After that, I went even crazier. I started grinding down the calipers on the side using a Dremel, shaving off about 5mm of material, and it still wouldn't clear. So at that point, I almost gave up. I had to do a bit of research because I couldn't return these wheels because they're already mounted on here, they're used now. I didn't want to spend money on buying another set. So I found the perfect solution to make it work. So apparently all of the F-Types or various Jaguar models, all their brakes are the same in terms of the fitment. You can always change the size of the brakes, whether you get bigger ones or smaller ones. So what I've actually done is I've installed smaller rotors in the front and smaller calipers. So I've downgraded to the base model brakes, which are 355mm size, and the smaller caliper as well. And after I fit those on, it just fits perfectly. Without any spacers, it just fit like a glove exactly the way that I wanted it to. There is more than enough clearance between the caliper and the inner barrel now, which is amazing. The scratches on the inner barrel are still there. I have to find a way to kind of buff that out. But yeah, I got them to work. And these brakes actually came off a 2020 F-Type base model So they are actually a little newer. With this being a 2016, I kind of got an upgrade. And with the smaller size, I am also shaving off a significant amount of weight. So I am getting less rotating weight in the front whilst downsized. And they don't really look too bad. You know, they still fill in the overall face of the wheels. In terms of braking performance, I don't really feel a difference. I don't think the larger brakes made a big difference either. But yeah, I did have to downgrade the brakes in order to fit these in the front. Now I am running a 5mm spacer in the front just to get the offset correct, because initially I did order an ET30, but like I said, they sent me out a 35. So in order to get that ET30 again, I did have to pop on a 5mm spacer, which I have mounted on here. On top of that, I did get some new lug nuts on here. As you can see, these are the extended ones from Michelin. They look amazing, but I did notice on the passenger side, one of the studs is completely stripped. This one over here with the silver bolt. So I do have to get a stud replacement, because no matter how many times I try to put on these new aftermarket lugs, they're just getting stripped and getting destroyed. So I had to replace these like twice now, because this one, it kept stripping the bolt. So I did just put on a random one just for now, just to kind of hold it. Other than that, the car still drives perfectly fine with that one missing broken nut stud thingamajiggy. And I think the overall look of the car looks amazing. It definitely adds a bit of depth to the wheels. The original wheels look kind of boring and flat-faced. So with this deeper setup and wider setup, it does make it look a little bit more aggressive. We still have to lower the car. There is a bit of a gap here, and there is a slight bit of natural camber on this car. If you look at the wheel setup, it's slightly, maybe like about 1 degree of camber. So it does look kind of cool that it has a natural camber. When I lower this car, it should give me probably another 1 to 2 degrees of camber naturally, allowing me to get a more tighter fit. So this is the new wheel setup on the Jaguar F-Type. I think it turned out amazing. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in our next one. Peace.